This is a 2004 Toyota Avalon, and this is one of the best Toyotas ever made. I mean, these things, when you get them in good shape, they are truly good cars. But of course, like every 20-year-old cars, eventually they'll need some stuff. So in today's video, we're gonna fix a few things on this 95,000 mile super rare column shift 04 Avalon. I love these cars. They're really well made and nice. But we got some power steering leaks we gotta take care of, some light suspension stuff we gotta take care of, some door locks don't work, some airbag repair. Let's get with the video. It's kinda gonna be a shop day video, if you would, working on one of my favorite and one of the most well-made Toyotas ever, right after this. Before we get started, something about these Avalons, in case you own one, looking to buy one, you don't know. These have a winter position for the wipers. A lot of people don't know about it. So you grab the wipers, hear that click? The wipers stay up like that. So they'll still go up to the mark, but then when they come back, they'll stop here. So when you have snow packed in here, they'll stay up. Pretty cool. It's old school features. With that, let's look at our first thing that we're doing here, which is, and if I'm not mistaken, these hood shocks are a little tired. I think I brought it to the customer's attention. They said that they are not the most savvy about cars, so they don't want to spend on the hood shocks, which I get it. These things can get expensive if you go original. If you ever have weak hood shocks and it's not in your budget to do it, invest in one of these, especially if you do this professionally. These just lock up here, they don't damage the shaft, and they give you a safety. Just one heads up about that. Don't forget them and bring the hood, because we've seen hoods get bent because of that. So here's the first thing that we got. Power steering fluid is almost empty, because this feed hose, 20-year-old feed hose, is leaking. See it all wet. Same thing with the return line. Same thing with the lower one. Lower one's a little rusty. It's more rusty than a leak. So let's get these taken care of first, and then we'll start. Leave this here. We're actually going to raise the car up, drain it from the bottom, take the wheels off, start working on it. So you see all this oil right here, that's all from that power steering line at the top and the hose. If you come around here, right here, that's the hose we're going to replace. See, it's all wet. High pressure hose is good. Rack has been replaced already. That's the only leaks we got on this car. Otherwise, 20-year-old Toyota, folks. Look at this. Nothing. That's the only leak it has. And this is what's amazing about these. They do have their common quirks. You know, brake lines love to rust. These are perfectly fine. This car doesn't have a lot of rust. It's very low miles. Like you'll see a few bubbles. If you look around, turn around, Jose, show them. Like if you look right in here, a little bit difficult to see, but they do have a few rust bubbles. Now, something we're seeing a lot of lately, fuel tank straps. When they get to this point, look at this one's about to break from rust. These cars are getting older, so we're actually replacing these straps as well. And then this control arm, I believe it's this side, but I usually quote them in pairs. This bushing is actually loose. This is another common thing with these. We're not replacing the rearward arms. We're only replacing these. So that is one thing. Power steering line we talked about. And the last thing, which is super common with these, and very simple. Sway bar links. Did you know that these were the years where the driver's side and the passenger side sway bar links are actually different? Something about the length, I believe, or the angle, that is different, but they are different side to side on the Avalon. So with that, let's take this metal cover, because they didn't put plasticky stuff back then. It's Look at this thing. I mean, if you had this on your 4Runner, you'd go off-roading with it. We're cool. This is an Avalon. That's how they used to make these. Overkill, you can say that, but that's how they used to do it. So here's that other line. See how rusty it is? So I'm actually gonna start draining it from here. That's the lower return line. Now, I should probably get a shorter bungee cord, but this is what I have laying around, so let's just make use of it. Let's drain that. I have a feeling this line may end up breaking. Oh, no, it's actually holding. So if you're getting a hose that you're replacing, which we are replacing both of these, are just gonna cut it. Just like that. And then you can peel it off. It goes. Bring down the rain. Well, we don't have a lot of rain. That's the first one. Now this line, so basically this is almost all front-wheel drive Toyotas. You'll have an upper line, the return line that goes from here all the way to the reservoir. Then the lower one will go here, and it connects to another tube that takes it to the rack. We're only replacing the one here, and the one at the top, and the big feed hose. Just gonna wait for this to finish. In the meantime, here's what I'm thinking we're gonna do. I'm gonna swap the big drain with this drain, which is getting a little full. Usually I don't empty these until you get decently full. So how are we gonna do this? Let's see. We don't wanna make a mess. There we go. Seamless. I like that. Let's take the side cover off to see what we're working with here. This cover is covered with oil. That's all from that line at the top leaking. Let's see what we got here. I'll lower the car a little bit. So we have that line that we're draining right now connects right here. So this one is like a rock. So I'm thinking we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take it off right here. Cut the hose. Goes that one. Make sure there's our dribble. There we go, the other one's done. This one is a little bit. Now the next hose is this one. Let me get a different pair of pliers. Get the fancy one. So it just sits over it. There we go. You just turn it with this. That I think should do it. Yep. Come here. There we go. Now this hose, I wonder if it wants to come off. Oh yeah, this one's cooperating. Now this is gonna drain down a lot of fluid. This is the main feed pipe to the pump. There we go. There we go. Now we have the rain. So this return line has a 10 right here. I believe it has another 10 in the front. Let's take this 10 off. Let's take this 10 off. That's not a 10. It is not a 10. That's when they used to build cars like tanks and put a tiny little 10. There's that one. So here's that other bolt. Let me see if my tool fits on it. No, it does not. I'm just going to take it off by hand. I'm going to block your view for a little bit because you can't get a hold of this bolt. There we go. I think I can get it now from the other side. That's all that holds it, folks. This is the same design until they no longer have hydraulic power steering. So they always have two bolts. Usually they're 10s. This one being a tank that it is. It's a 12. There you go. Here's the first line. It out that way. Here. Triple a little bit. See if I can. Some more. There it goes. So what happens with these, and this is what ends up happening. You see that? That ain't clamping nobody because the hose gets so brittle. And it starts leaking through here. Now, can you go cut a hose and make it this shape? Yes. Some of these turns can be interesting with hoses, but this line is rusty. And we're going to be disturbing this entire line. Replace these. That's one thing I'll tell you about these lines. You see them get bad? Just replace them. This is what makes these old cars good. You start mending things, and that's when you start having issues. Having said that, I'm going to build this from the top down. So let's lower the car. We'll get the lines, start our cleanup, because there's a lot of cleanup to do here. Okay. Let's see what we have here. So, first line is going to be the return line, which this particular one is going to have one bracket here, which has a harness on it. Actually, I'm sorry, that's the second bracket. And there should be another. Yeah, right there. So there is one here, which is, these are 10s. And the other one is right there. This clamp right here. Get this hose out. So the other bracket did attach to it. Yeah, I figured. So there's this wire right here. It's attached to the same bracket. So we're gonna get this wire off. Now that this line is free, just walk it out. See the same deal here. This is just not doing much. This one, also not doing much. I'm going to take the other side and start cleaning some of this mess. Because look at this, it's just covered with oil here, all the way down. And that's what's actually dripping on the ground. So we'll get this hose up. I'll start some cleaning. This hose just kind of runs across here. This one is brittle like a rock, and I think it had a cut in it somewhere. Oh, it's just brittle. It's just no longer sealing at the ends. Now we're gonna start the cleanup. There is a lot to clean here. I can get my lights. You can see. Gotta keep the camera away. We'll kind of show you the before here, because we gotta keep our camera away. Spray it down, clean it, and then we'll show you the after. Isn't that much better? No more leak. We'll get this job going. So here is the first part that we have is this hose. This is the feed hose. Couple clamps. Always replace these clamps. They're inexpensive. They're worth every penny. And what I want you to never do is use worm clamps on OEM hoses. I see shops do this all the time because they just order the hose. They never think of the clamp. It's like, get the clamp. Important that you do that. Now, figure out the orientation of this. I believe this goes this way. Look down to make sure. I believe so. Put the clamp through. Here we go. So here's the cool thing about the factory. They give you these lines on these hoses. What these lines are meant to do, you're a factory worker. You don't know what you're assembling. You're just following instructions. Do you see that little cutout right here? That cutout lines up with the line. Put your clamp at the line and pull it. That's all that's meant to do. So the clamp would actually line up properly, and the hose would line up properly, and at the bottom it won't give you a hard time. You're gonna end up something like that. See how the blue line is lined up, and we're good. Now we'll get the second line with new clamps. This is the upper return line. You notice this one is tight because these hoses are good. Let's install this one, which comes with all new brackets. Alright. Now where is that? There it is. Actually, I connect it in the front first. Also has the mark, which this mark goes right in the middle. Right there. Oh, getting too excited there about the clamp. Now, the colors of these lines, that part can't tell you what it means because it depends on the assembly line where this car is being assembled, because that represents which side it goes to. So we're going to put the clamp, pull the lock, center the clamp on the line, and we're good. That's how the factory would do it. Exactly like that. Now the factory, when they put this particular hose, if you work at a factory you will know this, they actually install this hose before the engine is even in the car. So it's a lot easier. And half of this stuff is not here yet, so you work at a factory, you see the cars after you assemble them, they won't look the same. One thing about that was very interesting information we got one of the plant tours we went on. The number one quality in a good factory worker is following directions without questioning. Think mechanics do that very well? I'll tell you right now, we don't. I'll admit that. So we wouldn't be very good factory workers. Now we're going to connect this hose, which also has the line. This line probably has a mark that lines up here, but this one I am not sure exactly where it lines up. But it's kind of self-explanatory, honestly. Let's see where it lined up. Did it line up or what we said? No, it's not even. Yeah, it did. With the edge right here. Pull the lock to rotate it. See? Now, if you're a mechanic watching this, you'll probably say, it doesn't really matter. And you're right. It doesn't matter where you put this. It just looks better when you follow the book and stuff like, little stuff like that. Now, here's what we have to do before we put the lower line, which is the last line that we got going on. We got all this grime here, and then we have some fluid there. So I'm going to spend some time here to clean all this before we put our line back. This is a clip that I dropped from the top. I saw it fall here, so we're good. I'm going to spend some time cleaning this and this And let's see how it looks after the cleanup. That is much better. A little bit of dust, but all the oil residue is gone. In case you're wondering what do we use to clean it with, Brake Clean works great for this stuff. New line. Here's that one. Let's see how we're gonna get it in there. It's not a good angle. Gotta go underneath everything. That's right. All right, guys, sit down. Start the other bolt. Okay. This one also has the green line on it. I like that. Clamp. There we go. That's all set. Now before we install this bolt broke when we took it off. This one, I can't access it from the inside, but it is broken. Let's just drill these out real quick. This one, I believe I can catch it and get it out. Let's see if I can. Don't want to put heat here because it's a little too close to the radiator, just plastic. Disturb that. That is not happening. I think we're gonna have to heat these up, which means I'm gonna put very, very little heat. Yeah, there it goes. This one's out. The other one, unfortunately, we don't have anything to work with. So we're gonna have to drill it out, which is this one. So this is the bolt that is broken. It's kind of a, if you ask me, it's a dangerous bolt. Let's see if it's through. I think this brace is not through. Yeah, it may be through. So we gotta be very careful not to drill through it. I'm gonna center punch it, try to be as close to center as possible. So we are not very centered, but I'm going to try to. Just made it through. We're going to make the opening bigger. I think the bolt actually came off. This is a M6 by 1. This is going to clean it up a little bit without hitting the radiator. I'm going to go and clean all the rest of them. There we go. Let's get the sway bar links so we can be completely done with the front. Let's see if this one wants to cooperate. My other pliers, we're using it on another job. Usually I have nicer vice grips for these, but I hope this works. Yes, That worked very well. Yeah, I can kind of tell this thing is done for. No grease left. Especially the upper one. Usually it's the lower one that goes. And in this case, it's the upper one. Well, let's get the other side off so we can lift it up and get the bottom nuts. I'm actually very impressed that this actually worked. How about that? Old trusty still works. Actually, this is the driver's side. Yes, the labeled right hand, left hand. This is right hand, passenger. So let's install that. And then left hand. See, these are the labels I was telling you about. The marks, paint marks. Black. Actually, I thought I saw the black mark on one of these. And whenever you do sway bar links, always get new nuts. When you put the old nuts, you just committed a mechanic's crime. All right, side is good. We are all done with this. Let's lift it up, move on to our next project, which is gonna be fuel tank straps. Now, this has a 1 bolt that holds this side, and then this little hook deal, which has a pin. See it here, there's actually no bolt here. So we're gonna do one at a time. We'll grab the jack, we'll support the tank, get the strap off, place it, and switch it one at a time. This is the one that is really bad, so how about we start with this one? I just don't feel like supporting a tank on the one that is not good. So we're gonna support our tank here, a little block of wood to hold it up. There's a 14 all the way here. Make sure we're on it. This. Now, get our strap down. Yeah, that strap completely almost broke here. I'm surprised this hasn't broken yet. Really surprised. Now, this is the part that is interesting. I gotta push this pin, and I hope it is not seized. And I'll show you this once we get it out. Yes, not seized. So basically, this strap, the way it works, this side is bolted down. This side, you put this in this little pocket that has the openings. Then you slide the pin through, and it sits in that pocket and it holds it. That just makes assembly easier. So now we have the 2 straps here. You gotta figure out which one is which. Actually, they are labeled left and right. So it's actually this one. We're still gonna make sure. Yeah, that looks about right. They are labeled. Thank you, Toyota, doing that. These fuel tank straps, folks, always buy them original. They're actually not expensive. And the chances of success are very high because they fit perfect and you don't have issues. Gotta do this once every 20 years. And you want to save money, maybe do it yourself. Doing this on the ground is a little bit interesting, but it's doable. Push the pin through. Got a little too excited. Try this again. You just gotta push it just enough so it's in the pocket, and then it drops down just like that. That's it. Now we're gonna go back on the opening. Start it by hand. Cross thread this at an odd angle. We are in a world of trouble. We're good. That one is good. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you live in Rusty Land, like we do, Chicago area over here, always check these. Folks, you have no idea how many cars are coming in the shop, and one of these straps is broken right here. This is the area where they love to brake. They rarely break in the middle, but they usually break on the extremities right here, in the ends. Rarely I see it in the front, but usually the back one is broken. Just fuel tanks hanging with one fuel strap. I don't need to tell you how dangerous that can be if both of them break. Yeah. So always check these. You see rust on them severe, like this one. This one is pretty, like this one, you see this, keep an eye on it. But you see this, it's flaking off like that, completely gone. Yeah. Remember how heavy fuel is when you fill this tank up. Don't take a risk. Which takes us to what I like to call the mother of all risks. We have to replace these arms, which means we have to deal with these. So here is the deal with these arms, in case you're working with them. There's a bolt that goes from here all the way through. This bolt right here goes all the way through and tightens this. If you're replacing the rear arms, it's not as bad if this comes off. This side, usually what happens, if this side comes off, this will seize in here and you'll never get it out. You'll have to keep fighting it, and eventually you have to destroy that bolt and get it. But here's the good news. From my experience, it's usually these that go. Rarely do the front ones go. And don't do one thing. In this case, if it ain't broke, don't fix it applies. Don't go being the hero trying to replace the front ones as well. Because this is not bad. You can, cut it, air hammer, you eventually get it out. But this one, you have one of two options. Either drop the fuel tank, because how are you going to get this long bolt out so you can replace the arm? Or a more realistic approach than dropping the fuel tank, you drop the exhaust down and you drop the subframe down enough where it clears. It'll barely clear, but you can get it. See how that opens can of worms to a lot more work? But this car, even though it has a little bit of rust, it's actually not super rusty. I mean, these, they look a little grim. They're not bad at all. So why don't we try our luck here and see if they actually want to come off. I'm just gonna try them, see what happens. I'm gonna help it with a little bit of this, just for the believers in this to not feel upset. As I don't, once things rust to a certain level, there ain't no magic spray that's gonna help you. Let's put it this way. You break it, heat it, and hope for the best. That's how it works. And I figured this was not gonna work this easy. Now, wow, I am surprised at this spectacle. If you look really close, the bolt is actually turning, which is amazing. That never happens. That's pretty interesting. Let's try the other side. That's gonna come off eventually. There is one more spray for those that believe in this stuff. That is not gonna go. That came off. I couldn't see if the bolt was turning. No, the bolt was not turning. This means it's completely seized. Okay, that's out. Magic fluid. That came off. Let's get some magic fluid. Last one. And this one. Now, you can do it. Oh, this one came right out. That's not bad at all. Did we turn the bolts or no? Now it doesn't really move. We're turning the bolts. Okay, so now we know this turns, because when it loses its tension, that means we're good. I'm gonna hold it on the other end, and we're gonna start some hard negotiations with this guy. This is how hard negotiations look like. Slipped. When my hard negotiations don't work, that's when we turn up the heat. That is not happening. Which means we're gonna have to go even bigger negotiations. Please meet my good friend here. This is the ultimate do it or break it negotiating tool. Yeah, it's pushing the exhaust. Well, how are we gonna do this, Jose? You have to hold that while I push on this, and you're holding the camera.
There's a spider.
There's a spider here. Hope you're not afraid of spiders.
Oh, wait, I gotta move it over because it's right on the...
That's okay, just push on it. So we ended up getting the mini ductor. Awesome tool, by the way. Got them all both loose. That's how hot these things get. They just start glowing red. Gonna cool them down a little bit. And cool this one down. This one was really stubborn. We had to heat it up multiple times. So as you can see, this is actually the only way. Look how hot this thing got. So that sizzling, it's like we're making a steak over here. This is the only way to get stuff that are really seized. Now, little stuff that are not really seized, maybe that magic little goo will work on it, but not really seized stuff. That's all I'll tell you. Let's see. There we go. Now, we got this off. I'm gonna get the other side off. Now we get to the actual job. This one is seized on. Let's see if we can convince it to come off. Oh yeah. There it goes. There's one of them. I'm gonna keep these on the side, because if I remember correctly, they are directional as well. This came right out. Perfect. There we go. Now we're talking. If I'm not mistaken, this was the side that was, yeah, that. So it's impossible to see it. So this movement is normal, but the movement in and out, like, it has, if I hold it straight and move the arm in and out, I can feel it clicking. So what these do when they get like this, now this side we burned it up, so it's not no fair game, but this one was loose. So what these do when they're loose, first they'll make clunking noises over bumps. That's pretty obvious. But when they're a little bit loose, you'll be driving on the highway, like you turn with the highway, all of a sudden it'll start making like a thumping noise in the back. These are loose in this case. Slightly important arm in it. Look at this wheel go. It's making that noise because this bolt is loose. Here. That's it. This job is done. I'm gonna leave these hand tight because we're gonna align this car. I wish we would have the space to align it so you guys can see it, but we're working on a video for you guys to see how an alignment actually works. So maybe we'll use another car for that, but we're done with this. Let's put the front wheels on, slow it down, bleed the power steering, then we'll move on to the interior stuff, call it a day. So here's how bleeding power steering works. leave the wheels off the ground. We're gonna fill up the reservoir. It's bubbling. So here's what you'll do. Take my gloves off. I'm gonna turn the wheel. I want you to watch the reservoir, how the fluid will come up. Then when it comes down, it's gonna come down at a lower level. As you turn the wheel lock to lock, see how the fluid level's coming down? Now we're gonna top it off. I see so many technicians start the car and let the pump whine as they do this. You just kind of negated the whole point of fixing the leak. So you wouldn't wipe out the pump by starting it with a dry pump. Don't do that. This method works. All the air bubbles are coming out. Every time you turn it to the lock, it'll come down a little bit more. See, it just keeps coming down. Let's do it one more time. You're gonna keep doing that until it stops dropping down. I think we are good. It's holding. Try it one last time. If it holds, we're gonna start it and you'll see how it sounds. It's holding. So when you start it after this, it may drop a little bit, but that's about it. Let's start it and see. See that? Dropped a little bit. No power steering whine. No nothing. Cannot emphasize this enough, folks. I see so many technicians do this and they're done fixing the leak. They were fixing the leak so the pump won't go out, running low on fluid, and then they just start the car. They fill up the reservoir, start it. It'll whine, keep going back and forth with steering. That's not a good method. This job is done. We still have to clean it, still have to do a lot of stuff. Still want to test drive it, clean it a little bit more. But for now, we're not done with this job. I'm gonna close the hood. So get my little thing out. Let's lower the car down. Let's get it a little bit back. Then we're gonna wash up and start working on the door lock. Because we have 2 door locks to replace. We're only gonna film one. The other one is exactly the same. Let's see. See, this door doesn't open. That's an oversight. That's what we're fixing. Let's see what we got here. So, got our clean tools. I have to say something. I don't recall getting in one of these doors, so I'm slightly trending into the unknown here. Let's try. Ooh, this could use some grease. Does this have a screw? Oh, these pop in the front. Maybe this one is in the back? Yes, it is in the back. Cool. So you just have to find, there's a tab on one side and then a slide tab. You don't want to pop it from here, you want to pop it from this side. So this is old school Toyota. One bolt here. Feel like we have more because this is old school Toyota, but what I meant by old school is, I believe, yes, this is that style. So you pop them like this, and then the cover comes off. Yes, this is old school. I mean, I almost can guarantee you there's bolts somewhere else or clips. Yes, there is. This is where they used to build these like tanks. Today's cars, there's hardly 2 screws holding the entire door panel. And that's why we have the rattles. And there's a lot more rattles today with Toyotas than they used to, because things are getting expensive. They build a car with this many screws and bolts and stuff. Cost a lot more, which they're already expensive. I have a feeling this has to come off. Yes, it does. Okay. So now we are ready. Oh, there's another clip here. Of course there is. This is the simplest door panel ever. There's not a single thing, not a light, nothing. Not even a clips, nothing. Because everything is bolted down. Now, be careful with the seal here. Where is the actual door lock actuator? And this is another cool thing in these days. You can actually replace only the door lock actuator, not the whole latch. But in this case, we do have to pull the... So this is something that I do. I actually have a separate set. This set, I only use it for interiors. That way, we're not worried about a tool that didn't get cleaned very well. And then we're spending a lot more time later cleaning the car from any stains. So this is the interior set. So, okay, this is going to be a problem. I already see that. But I wonder, do we even have to do that? Because this is going to be hard to show you, but I may be able to. Yeah, that's all I need. I think I'll be able to kind of move this around and get it out. I'm gonna get these cables. Yeah, these cables are scary, a little brittle, the ends. Okay. Well, let's see how far we get. Actually, I got too excited. This is old school. There's good stuff about old school cars and there's bad stuff. Bad stuff is, this has this rod that connects it. Ooh, this is gonna be a problem. Let me see if I can get it. So there's a rod that connects the handle to the latch, and they are extremely difficult to get out. See, the new ones, they just have a little hook that sits in it. This one has that rod. So let me see if I can pop it out without a fight. See that rod at the top? I hope you can see it. It's a little tight. When we get the latch out, I'll be able to show you better. But let me see if I can actually pop it out without a massive fight. Usually these are kind of a pain. Come on. See, there's good stuff about old cars and there's bad stuff. That's one of the bad stuff is this one. Kind of a ridiculous design. You'll see when they don't give you access to pop it out. You've worked on old Toyotas, you know exactly what I'm doing. She is not cooperating with us today. Let's see if I can get it with a longer hook. Yes, I got it. Now the good part is, going back in is very, very simple. You just push that rod in and it goes. Now the $1 million question is, am I gonna be able to get the door latch out without removing the entire glass? Hoping for a yes. Giving us a fight, a good old school fight. There it is. I have a feeling we're gonna regret that in a second, because he's gonna give us a real good fight at the other end. So this is what I was trying to pop off. This goes into the handle and it has a clip here. That clip is so stubborn because they got old and brittle, and you can't pop this off. So I was trying to get here and pry it off, because that's the only way. Because if you just pull on this, it'll just start bending the handle and you won't be able to get it out. In the fronts, usually they'll leave you a hole in the panel right here where you can go right between this with a screwdriver and just pop it out, pry on it so you would hold the hand. But this one doesn't. But here's the cool thing. See, the newer cars, the latch is one piece. There's no parts, nothing. This one, if you notice this black part, this is the door lock actuator. That's the only thing we're replacing. All this latch works. It's just the door lock that doesn't. So that's pretty cool. Now let's see how this comes off. This cover, looks like it has one tiny screw here. Anything else? Yes. This one. There we go. This is off. This, you see how the cable is attached to it? This is a lock unlock. So we're actually going to have to get this cable off carefully. These cables love to break. Here we go. Now it's a matter of getting these two screws out and then taking that. That's it. That's all we're replacing. Everything here works perfectly fine. Right hand, rear lock. That's what we're working with. Let's open it. Make sure it looks exactly the same, which it does. Yep, that is good. Put that here. And I think this is in the why aren't they lining up? Oh, right there. There we go. That's good. Connect our cable back. Let's check it. Yep, that's working. Now we just got this big cover. That's good. And all right. Well, that's done. This is actually the child safety lock right here. This one. So we gotta be mindful of that when we install it. Let's install it and hope for the best. And I am already not having the best feelings about this. Because this was like, getting it out is one thing, getting it in is another. But staying positive is the key thing here. Well, we just said good things about this Avalon. This is not working with us at all. I don't think we're going to be able to get this in simply. We're going to try something here, because all I am hanging up on is that run channel. I'm going to attempt, we'll turn on the key. I'm going to lower the glass, because you see the stud? That's what's holding the channel in place from me pulling it down. So I'm going to lower the glass all the way and see if I can unhook it. Careful with the glass. Actually, this may work, folks. Pull the leather seal. Yes. Oh, yeah, look at that. Well, what? There it is. That's where we're stuck on. Now that it's out of the way, I have to very carefully raise the glass just so I can get the latch in there. Because now the glass has nothing supporting it this way. There we go. Let me just install my latch. Leave the key on quickly. Install my latch. And then... that was much easier. I wish we would have done that from the beginning. Get the seal out again. Lunch out. Let's celebrate early, which is going to be a problem. This is the problem. I gotta get this past the glass. It's going. Okay. So that part is done. Now I'm gonna hook that little hook. Yes, that is there. Gromage. This goes through. Just gonna temporarily attach this. And door handle. This is the lock. We potentially gotta adjust. All right. Now, that's moment of truth, I suppose. Let's test it. Yes. Look at that. Look at the other side, the driver's side rear. That one is on vacation. So that we'll do off camera. It's basically the exact same thing. However, now we know that we can pull that glass guide up from the top from the beginning. It won't take us as much time. You watch. Next time I get one of these, I would have forgotten all about what we discovered today. Because technically what the manual wants you to do is remove the entire glass out of the car, then work with it. They don't exactly give you straight instructions directly only to the door lock actuator. They only give you instructions to disassemble the entire door. So you're basically, they're trying to tell you is, you gotta figure out, oh, there's no clips on this. You gotta figure out what needs to come off for what job. They don't do that anymore. They actually have better manuals now. But that's how the older manuals used to be. Right there, clip. Last but not least. There it is. All right, well, we do have one thing we gotta test. Every time you work on a door, never just close it and call it a day. Big mistake, because if you forgot something, now you're stuck. Gonna manually activate the latch. That's working. See how I push the latch? Push the latch. Now you're simulating the door being closed. That works. Now let's test our child safety and engage it. That doesn't work. Disengage it. It works. Now, and only now, we're gonna have to look these doors. That's common with these. That's one side done. We're gonna basically do the other side. And unfortunately, we are kind of running out of time. It's very late at night. Jose needs to go, I need to go. And that seat airbag repair underneath the seats, just a connector replacement. We'll potentially do it in another video if time allows and whatnot. But folks, these are good cars. Just one big warning about them: rust and neglect. For some reason, these, you will either find them beautiful, in excellent condition, or you'll find them completely run down. There's no in between. That's one thing about these cars. So if you find one like this one, in good shape, low miles, good maintenance history, no rust, they just run and run. They have their common quirks. Some stuff can get expensive if you're fixing them properly, but for the most part, these are good cars. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.